I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Did you lose a relative or close friend to 9/11?
Besides myself.
Hi, what's your name?
My name is Wayne Armour.
And who are you?
I'm the father of Simone Armour. My initial reaction was that I heard something incorrect. I said, a plane couldn't have hit the World Trade Center. I must have heard them incorrectly.
You want me to relay? Yeah, Steve, tell people of Palmer they got reports that there's more planes in the area. We may have to back down here. 747 Alpha to 7. Steve.
At Metrotech Plaza in Brooklyn, which is less than a mile away from the World Trade Center. So when I got off of the elevator on the 10th floor, some people were running and saying that a plane just hit the World Trade Center. When I heard about 9/11, I was just getting out of an elevator at Metrotech Plaza in Brooklyn, which is less than a mile away from the World Trade Center. So when I got off of the elevator on the 10th floor, some people were running and saying that a plane just hit the World Trade Center. So then I went to a meeting I had that morning, and from that meeting there was a window that had a view of the World Trade Center, and I could see it smoking. So I knew something terrible had happened.
Pray that God took them quick. And then we saw the people jumping. We saw what we thought was debris, and we realized it was people jumping. I can't do anything.
And I remember looking back at the building, and you saw people hanging out the window, and then you saw them jump. And you couldn't look back at the building anymore after you saw them jump.
Once I got to Metrotech, I took the elevator up. People said plane had hit the World Trade Center. I didn't believe them. Then I went over to the cubicle of the person I was meeting with, and I looked out the window and saw that the World Trade Center was smoking. I tried to call my wife. At first I was unsuccessful, and then I did get her. And I talked to her for less than a minute before the line was no longer operational. And from that time, we were getting updates and looking at the World Trade Center. I saw the second plane hit the World Trade Center, and just saw, just the fire, and then the buildings coming down. It was, a horrendous sight. And then we were also trying to determine how we would get home and what else might be going on. And from a business standpoint, what would happen with keeping up some of the critical infrastructure in that area at the time.
I was in 9/11. So I was on the bridge walking between the World Trade Center and the World Financial Center. Because I was on a motorcycle trip on that Sunday, and I was going in a little late. And I heard the first plane crash, and I thought it was a construction accident. Because it was like you could feel the vibrations when the plane hit the first building. And I looked out because I was on there was a walkway between the World Trade and World Financial. My office was in 4 World Trade, and I looked out and I saw all this paper coming down. And I said, "That's odd." And then I saw people on fire.
There was a lot more of a police presence and sometimes military presence in some of the main transportation believe that some of the American people started to try to find a fixed blame, and certain people were blamed in it. I don't think it was completely proven as to how this whole thing started, although they know the people that were on the planes and the people that were planning it. So I think the culture changed in that people are a lot more careful now as far as what they allow to happen. I know from sometimes riding on the small planes that people told me that before 9/11, you could be on a private plane and you could ride over Yankee Stadium or you could ride over the Statue of Liberty, but after 9/11, those things are no longer possible.
One of my best friends got trapped in the firehouse across the street. I have another friend that got trapped under a car when the rubble started to come down. My brother-in-law was 3 blocks away at the Fed building, and once the building came down, all that pollution and smoke, he was completely covered.
It didn't change my view at all as far as that's concerned. I have friends that are Islamic or look like they're Islamic, and that's the case as well. People can get stereotyped because of the way they look, and given the background of African Americans, I know how people can be stereotyped. So I think it's wrong to stereotype people. I think there's some good things that the United States has done to increase the security, especially in some of the major areas that were hit in 9/11. So there's some additional security there, which I think is good. Still, some of the geopolitics that are happening outside of this country, I think there's some things to be desired as far as the outcomes, and a lot of time and effort and money have been poured in to try to prop up regimes that probably cannot survive if we're not supporting them. So I think there's still some better things could be done as far as that's concerned. Well, I think maybe at one time there might have been some thoughts of invincibility about the United States, and maybe that's been removed somewhat. And also the opportunity for individuals now with whatever feelings they have about our country to see that they might be able to do something without having to have a large force. When you look at happening in 9/11, what's happened in Boston, and
We had these different code levels for threats, terrorist threats,
Right, yeah.
and they kept calling these threats, and then you couldn't go into the city through the tunnels. You had a carpool. They were checking cars. They were checking the trains. There were dogs, guns. It wasn't normal, right?
groups of people
It felt
that
abnormal.
have done this. So I think it may have emboldened some people, and that's why we have to stay ever vigilant. Just being back there a few days later and smelling the burning metal still smoldering, and some of the other things is something I'll just never forget.
And I'll tell you all
It was
about
like,
it.
I felt proud.
Right.
And I was angry. I was angry. I still remember coming home, that day. My house was full of people, and
Yeah.
my wife didn't know if I was dead or alive.
I'll tell you all about it when I see you again.